everyone, so we're going to finish the last part of chapter 10 from our book Kensuke's Kingdom. So remember at the last time we were reading, they were waiting in the cave, anxiously waiting for the hunters to leave, and when we finished that part of our chapter, they had just left and they were waiting to go outside to see if they could find any of the orangutans that they couldn't find before. We searched the island for Kakanbo, sang for him, called for him, but there was no sign of him. Kensuke was in deep despair. He was inconsolable. He went off on his own, and I let him go. I came across him shortly after, kneeling over the bodies of two dead gibbons, both mothers. He was not crying, but he had been. His eyes were filled with hurt and bewilderment. We dug a hole away in the soft earth on the edge of the forest and buried them. There were no words in me left to speak, and Kensuke had no songs left to sing. We were making our sorrowful way back home along the beach when it happened. Kakanbo ambushed us. He came charging out of the trees, scattering sand at us, and then climbed up Kensuke's leg and wrapped himself round his neck. It was such a good moment, a great moment. That night, Kensuke and I sang 10 Green Bottles over and over again, very loudly, over our fish soup. It was, I suppose, a sort of wake for the two dead gibbons, as well as an ode of joy for Kakanbo. The forest outside seemed to echo our singing. In the weeks that followed, I could see that Kensuke was brooding on the terrible events of that day. He set about making a cage of stout bamboo at the back of the cave to house the orangutans more securely in case the killer men ever returned. He kept going over and over it, how he should have done this before, how he would never have forgiven himself if Kakanbo had been taken, how he wished the gibbons would come when he sang, how he could save them too. We cut down branches and brush from the forest and stacked them outside the cave mouth so that they could be pulled across to disguise the entrance to the cave house. He became very nervous, very anxious, sending me often to the hilltop with binoculars to see if the junk had returned. But as time went by, as the immediate threat receded, he became more his own self again. Even so, I felt he was always wary, always slightly on edge. Because he was keeping so many of my paintings now, we found we were running out of good painting shells. So early one morning, we set off on an expedition to find some more. We scoured the beach, heads down, side by side, just a few feet apart. There was always an element of competition with our shell collecting. Who would find the first, the biggest, the most perfect? We had not been at it long, and neither of us had yet found a single shell when I became aware that he had stopped walking. "Mika-san," he breathed, and he was pointing out to sea with his stick. There was something out there, something white, but too defined, too shaped to be a cloud. We had left the binoculars behind. With Stella yapping at me all the way, I raced back along the beach and up the track to the cave house, grabbed the binoculars and made for the top of the hill. A sail, 2 sails, 2 white sails. I bounded down the hillside back into the cave and pulled out a lightened stick from the fire. By the time I reached the beacon, Kensuke was already there. He took the binoculars from me and looked for himself. "Can I light it?" I asked. "Can I?" "All right, Mika-san," he said. "All right." I thrust the lighted stick deep into the beacon, in amongst the dry leaves and twigs at its core. It lit almost instantly, and very soon flames were roaring up into the wood, licking out at us as the wind took them. We backed away at the sudden heat of it. I was disappointed there were so many flames. I wanted smoke, not flames. I wanted towering clouds of smoke. "Do not worry, Mika-san," Kensuke said. "They see this for sure, you see." We took turns with the binoculars. Still, the yacht had not turned. They had not seen it. The smoke was beginning to billow up into the sky. Desperately, I threw more and more wood onto the fire until it was a roaring inferno of flame and dense smoke. I had thrown on almost the very last of the wood we had collected when Kensuke said suddenly, "Mika-san, it is coming. I think the boat is coming." He handed me the binoculars. The yacht was turning. It was very definitely turning, but I couldn't make out whether it was towards us or away from us. I don't know, I said. I'm not sure. He took the binoculars off me. I tell you, Mika-san, it come this way. They see us, I am very sure. It come to our island. Moments later, as the wind filled the sails, I knew he was right. We hugged each other there on the hillside beside the blazing beacon. I leapt up and down like a wild thing, and Stella went mad with me. Every time I looked through the binoculars now, the yacht was coming in closer. She's a big yacht, I said. I can't see her flag. Dark blue hull like the Peggy Sue. Only then, as I said it out loud, did I begin to hope that it could possibly be her. Gradually, hope turned to belief, and belief to certainty. I saw a blue cap, my mother's cap. It was them. Kensuke, I cried, still looking through the binoculars. Kensuke, it's the Peggy Sue, it is. They've come back for me, they've come back. But Kensuke did not reply. When I looked round, I discovered he was not there.